our Hafiz, Sheikh Harib over here, he was reciting Surah Al-An'am. And it's in the middle. We started from the middle of the Juz 7, and we're going to continue. Inshallah, we will finish Juz 8 today. Juz 7 and quite a bit of 8 is all Surah Al-An'am, and then Surah Al-A'raf starts after. Today, I'm just going to focus on Surah Al-An'am, because now we're going to start spanning multiple surahs in a juz. So it becomes very difficult because the theme and the concept of the surah itself, which is really the purpose of the Quran. I don't know if you know this, but by the way, Quran, the purpose of the surah is one surah is a complete unit of a theme, of a message. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, you can say, an essay with a major theme included. Every surah is treated like that. They don't move in progression. They don't build on each other necessarily in particular order. There are beautiful relationships between them, but very, very smart scholars study those kinds of things. But really, what you want to ensure, whenever you read the Quran, you can kind of really start from anywhere. You'll hear different opinions. My opinion, you can start from anywhere, but the most important thing is the surah needs to remain intact. Its structure, its order, its theme. That's the most important thing. Anyway, that's a whole different discussion on the structure of Quran. I just wanted to just briefly talk about that. Okay, back to Surah Al-An'am. In all of the surahs that we've done thus far, except Surah Al-Fatiha, all are Madani surahs. Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Ma'idah. They're all Madani surahs. This is our first Makki surahs. The way you can probably hear it. It sounds different, it recites different, its rhythm is different, its message is completely different. So let's talk about the message. A lot of the Makki surahs, what are the Makki surahs? Very quickly, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first 13 years of his nubuwah, he was in Mecca. After he got prophethood, the first 13 years he was in Mecca. All of the surahs revealed during that time, whether he was traveling or not traveling, they're called Makki surahs. And then he did the hijrah, and thereafter they're called the Madani surahs. Okay, so this is a Makki surah. The message of the Makki surah, at that time, not a lot of laws were revealed, not a lot of, like salah was not mandatory, zakah was not mandatory, sadaqah, some of the optional things were encouraged, right? So here, the theme of most of the Makki surahs are very, very beautiful Tawheed. So anytime you hear like Tawheed being repeated over and over in different aspects, the Day of Judgment, how you need to give charity, not zakat, just charity in general, how you need to be nice to people, how you shouldn't shouldn't show indecency, etc. All of these are messages of the Makki Quran. The Makki Quran, for most people, including myself, is the most beautiful Quran that you can read rhythmically, message-wise, simple to understand, very deep. A lot of the 30th juz, for example, is Makki Quran as well. I'm just giving you this kind of intro just so that you kind of understand. The next surah we will do, Surah Al-A'raf, is also Makki surah. And then we have one Madani surah and then some Makki. Anyways, so what is the key message of Makki surah? I am spending time now telling you this, so I don't have to repeat it again and again. But it's going to be around Tawheed and the Day of Judgment. Here, this surah specifically talks about, there's a lot of discussion of angels. Why angels? The angels that actually bring punishment down. Jibreel alayhi salam, for example. So there's a lot of discussion on angels. There's a lot of discussion of the kuffar challenging Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, show us a miracle. If you're really a prophet, show us the miracles like the previous prophets brought. So there's those challenges. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Makki Quran, Rasulullah ﷺ was tormented, harassed, right? Ridiculed. His people were being ridiculed. His message was not being heard, as you know, and what happened in Taif and thereafter, and eventually that led to hijrah. There was a reason for that. It was tremendous physical and psychological torment in the Makki period. So what is the Makki Quran going to address? It's going to address that torment. It is therapeutic ayat that are being revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, consoling him, making him feel better, giving him, strengthening him. Like, look what the previous nations did to the prior prophets, and see how brave they were. The message in the Makki surahs. Maybe I won't. Well, if I can take 2 more minutes. They used to make things haram, halal, based on some traditions they used to follow, as typical idol worshipping societies they typically do. They just make stuff up, and that they get carried from generation to generation onward. So they would say, oh, you can, the milk from this animal is halal, but for this animal is halal for men, but not for women. And from this animal, it's halal for women, but not for men. And this animal you divide in this way, and they're really bizarre laws. They're dedicating the animals to the idols. They're dedicating the animals even to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believe in Allah, but they believe that they have to sacrifice animals to the idols. Now, let's talk about the big thing that you probably don't know what's coming. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the surah strongly speaks about what? Say the name of Allah when you slaughter. وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ on the animal. Why? Because it started here, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to ensure they're following Tawheed and they're not slaughtering animals to the false idols. So saying the name of Allah in Islamic Sharia, it's been around. Obviously, it's been in the Christian Sharia, it's been in the Judaic Sharia all the while for hundreds and thousands of years. In the Islamic Sharia, this is when it's being introduced. You need to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before you slaughter. And why is that? It's really because of the idol worship and what they used to do with the animals, and they used to slaughter them for the animals. So to break the brand new Muslims who have been following this practice, and their forefathers have been following this practice for a long, long time, right? How do you break them out of their psyche? It's like, no, you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? When you slaughter the animal, to break them away from idol worship. Does that make sense? So that's when it started. There's other famous ayat. I don't think we have time to go into. I'm just going to quickly hint at a particular story that you all have heard, where Ibrahim alayhi salam gives his people when he was very, very young, early teens possibly. Before he left the city, he was still in the city of his fathers, and he is challenging his people. It's like he's giving them tools to think about Tawheed. Okay? He's giving them tools to think about Tawheed, and he is challenging them and showing them, look, here's the moon that's rising. That must be the God. And then the moon sets. Obviously he knows, right? He's just showing people how to think. And the moon sets. And he's like, that can't be God, because the God doesn't disappear like that. Oh, then he saw the sun rising. وَرَأَى شَمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. This is bigger than the moon, right? فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. Basically, he said, I am free from what you guys worship, the idol worship that you used to do. Remember, back to the idol worship. Surah An'am, it's really about idol worship, right? If you actually kind of put it all together. So here the story is emphasizing that, how Ibrahim alayhi salam combated his people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam this story to tell him, this is how you educate your nation. And then this beautiful ayah that at least in the Shafi'i school, when you open up your salah, you say takbirat al-tahrim, you say Allahu Akbar. A lot of the other schools, they say, what do we read? Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Okay, that's called thana. Just technical term. That's called thana. In Shafi'i school specifically, they don't read that Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa tabarak ismuk. What do they read? They read what is called tawajjuh. What is tawajjuh? This is an ayah of Surah An'am. Actually, there's 2 ayahs in Surah An'am. One here and one al-ard. So right after that story, when Ibrahim alayhi salam is educating his people how to think about Tawheed, that all these things that you worship is not God. The moon, the sun, the tree, whatever, all these things are stones that you worship. They're not God. The God is the creator of all of this. So he makes this statement. This is the statement of Ibrahim alayhi salam. inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fataras samawati wal-ard. He says, I face my face toward the one who created the heavens and the earth. Fataras samawati wal-ard haneefa. I face sincerely, exclusively. Hanif means exclusively, sincerely. I face to the creator of all of this. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And I'm not the ones who do shirk. And then later on in Surah Al-An'am, he says, إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. My prayer, my nusuk, meaning the rituals and the rites that I perform, وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي, my life and my death, لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. There is no partner. He has no partner associates. لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ. And that is what I am commanded to do by my Lord, is to worship Him alone. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And I am from those who submit themselves to His will. Whatever He does, we submit. وَسَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. بارك الله فيكم.